What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Thursday, July 18th. Appreciate you making us a part of your starts, whether it's listening on the radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online, sportstalk1051.com. Download the app, take it on the go. You got your smart speakers, video streams up and rolling on Facebook and YouTube. We'll be up on Instagram in just a few minutes as well. But big thanks for making us a part of your start here this morning. What do we got on a good old game plan for us? We're going to talk a little green and gold here with training camp starting up on Monday. We had rookies supposed to be reporting yesterday for the for the pack and such, but kind of I mean, I still have some doubts whether it's a big time story or not. But I guess never say never at this point in time. But there's some chit chat out there about Jordan Love and his contract. He was recently asked about his extension, whether he would like to get that extension before training camp, and he's been asked about that. He's been asked about that a ton, leading up to camp, and he wouldn't answer it. He apparently was, I mean, the media that was there apparently was said that he's not answering any questions about training camp, but he was asked about it a couple days ago and didn't answer it. Just kind of did the awkward laugh and that sort of stuff. But apparently off camera, somebody had said that news to come, and then Jordan Love repeated that phrase, news to come. So, um, okay, let's put a scenario out there because it's kind of been uh it's kind of been a talking point. I don't know if I necessarily buy it yet, but let's kind of throw it out there. Do you think Jordan Love? Well, okay, what would you think as a fan, as a Packers fan, if the Packers opened up training camp Monday, and Jordan Love wasn't there because he wanted a new contract? What would be your thoughts going through your mind at that point in time? Now, again, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But what would be your thoughts on it? Would you be like, hey, I agree with Jordan. I think after the year he had and looking ahead to a season that's going to be full of high expectations and such. I don't blame him. I think he should get it done. Or do you think, hey, dude had one year starting and it was a really good year starting, but maybe, holding out after just 1 year is kind of pushing a little bit. I mean, what would kind of be your thought process if Packers open up practice and Love isn't there? Now, again, I feel like he's going to be. I part of me, a big part of me feels like this is potentially kind of getting overblown and such. But the fact that there's the video out there and he was asked about, wanting that deal there, and he wouldn't answer it, just kind of had that weird kind of chuckle sort of laugh sort of thing. And I mean it's a topic of conversation out there amongst at least amongst Packers fans on the socials and such and elsewhere. So I'll throw it out to you because you're the smart ones out there. What would be your reaction? What would be your thought if, let's just put the scenario out there, if he's not there Monday and still waiting for his deal? Again, I'll keep saying it. I think he is going to be there, but let's put the scenario out there. What if he's not? What what would kind of go through your mind there? Would you maybe blame Goody for not getting it done? Obviously we don't know what the inner conversations are like. We don't know the type of conversations they've had. We're assuming that they are having conversations because that's what we've been told. So I don't know. Do you think it would be a I think we'd all agree it would be an unnecessary shadow. But I mean, do you think this would have an effect on the team to open up training camp? A team that, again, has huge expectations for this year. Everybody's high on them, and then you have maybe this hanging over the head. I don't know. I still feel like it's going to get done before the season starts. So, but we'll play a little kind of what if you will, a little what if. So, we got that coming up on the game plan for us this morning. We'll talk some more baseball too. We don't have a Brewers Twins game until this weekend, until Saturday here. But now the talk, the focus has kind of moved over to trade deadline, which is coming up in 12 days, July 30th. So we'll talk a little bit about maybe some potential targets, some rumors that's kind of floating out there surrounding the crew and such. So we'll take a look at that because, again, it might be this week, or excuse me, this weekend and into next week when we're into the beginning of July 22nd. There's still quite a few teams, especially in a national league. When you look at the standings, I mean, there's still quite a few teams that are looking at this and just a couple games out of a wild card spot. So maybe this next week or so is when those teams who are kind of on the bubble of trying to decide whether they're going to be buyers or sellers, maybe this is the week that kind of helps determine that for them, because we've been told Washington's going to be sellers. They're just 6 games back, but then it completely drops off after Colorado and Miami. I mean, right above the Nationals is the Cubs, but they're just 3.5 back. American League's a little bit different. You got Kansas City, that's 2 back from wild card. Houston's 3.5 back. Then Tampa Bay's 5.5 back, and Detroit 7, Texas 7.5, Toronto 9.5, and such. So, but National League wise, when you look at this, I mean, Giants are just 3 back, Reds are just 3 back, Pittsburgh's 1.5 back, Padres are 1 back, Diamondbacks are 1 back. The Mets are currently holding on to that final wild card spot. Maybe a month ago, it was kind of like, oh, maybe they're going to be, trading people and such. I know Pete Alonso's been mentioned, some of their other players, maybe some of their veteran pitchers that they signed to 1-year deals this past offseason. If anybody wants a cheap rental for the rest of the season and such. So, I mean, maybe this is a big week for some of those teams who are on that border, to kind of go out there and either solidify themselves as standing pat and maybe even being buyers, or maybe saying, all right, yeah, let's move on. We got to be sellers and such. So, but we'll talk some baseball a little bit later on here this morning. It is a outdoors tidbit Thursday. So if you have any questions for our conservation warden buddy, Mr. Jake Boakes, start to hit us up with those texts, 715-830-1912 on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line. All right, whatever questions you have for Jake. I know we're getting close to the end of the month here in July. August, kind of, now you got to start to maybe pay attention a little bit to hunting season in that. I know for deer and such, we got the bonus tags and antlerless tags and all that good stuff. So if you got any questions, maybe leading up to some fall hunting seasons and such, now's the time to text those on over and let us know. All right, hit us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Also, we'll do a little receiver defer coming up about an hour and a half from now, about 7:40. So we'll hit that up. We'll do a couple more matchups in our bracket challenge for the most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time. We're halfway through deciding who's going to the Sweet 16. Moving on yesterday, John Stocco defeating Luke Swan. Brandon Jennings also moving on here too. So we are halfway there in determining who is going to be in the Sweet 16. So we'll do a couple more matchups here today. Probably go back to that Bucks/Open region and throw a little Packers matchup into this equation over here too. Reminder, got to vote on Facebook. Okay, the Facebook group page over there, and you got to vote on Twitter. Okay, those are the two places to go up there and vote. So, got the Open that's going on right now. Got a couple, or actually quite a handful of players that right now are leading at 2 under par. It looks like so. The Open, the final major championship of the season for the golf season, underway. So doesn't look like Tiger's on the course yet here. So, but yeah, you got a few players currently tied up at the top there at 2 under par. We'll keep you posted on that. If you want to make your picks with that, go ahead and do so as well with a quick text or comment on a video stream, tweet, Facebook, whatever floats your boat. So let's get things rolling here this morning. Okay, let's get into a little bit of a little banter here, talking some green and gold with training camp now opening up just a few days away from today, opening up on Monday here. There's maybe some nerves from Packers fans, or maybe there's some thought out there, could Jordan be there on Monday? If he wants that contract, could he hold out? And I'm not buying that, but I guess never say never. How many times have we been surprised, shocked by what some of the athletes have done out there? But the question I want to ask you is, okay, let's say Jordan does hold out, that he does want that contract. What would your thought process be as a fan? Be like, I get it. He's going to get one, and he had a really good year last year. He deserves it. Or maybe you're like, yep, he had a really good year last year, but that was his first year. Being a little greedy, or go out there and show it again. Be a leader with all the expectations heading into this year. What's going through your minds when we kind of throw that question? What would be going through your mind if that were to happen? All right, I know it's a little speculation and all that good stuff. So, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on that, because it's a unique situation considering we've just gotten 1 year of Jordan Love play that we've seen. So let's hit it up. All right, take our first break. Then we'll get things rolling here this morning on the leadoff. Join in on the convo. All right, I want to hear from you. Hit me up with some texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. We'll be back in just a few minutes. 4th annual Kasper Classic coming at you 2 weeks from tomorrow from Princeton Valley Golf Course here in Eau Claire. Was out there yesterday going over some stuff with the crew over there, getting ready for the 4th annual Kasper Classic. Looking forward to it. Sold out again this year for the 10:30, for the 10 and the 1:30 tee times out there. Still have a couple left. If you want to get in around at 7:30, all right. So just head to sportstalk1051.com for that. If you want to get your team out there and golf with the likes of Surveyor Sam and such. But big thanks to our sponsors, again, Princeton Valley Golf Course, for hosting us again this year. They are going to have another Bloody Mary bar. All right, Bloody Mary bar. Remember last year they had that set up, make your own Bloody Marys and such. So they're going to bring that back for everybody for before the outing and such. Big shout out to our Champions Meal sponsors, Hy-Vee and Eau Claire, Title Belt sponsors, Resonance Branding Company, Eau Claire, Putting Green sponsors, Gemco Surfaces, beverage sponsors, Park Ridge Distributing, Muldoon's Menswear's our Green Jacket sponsors. Other sponsors, Carpet City Flooring Center, AJM Automotive Service, The Elbow Room, Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Kelsey Nikolai, the Doododge Inn, Hannah Sellner Agency, American Family Insurance, Shepke Chiropractic, Shoe Doctor, Service Master, Chippewa Valley, Myron Construction, VFW Post 305. So awesome group of partners this year. If you want to help out, because all proceeds are going to help fund Backyard Dreams. So if you'd like to help out or such, maybe with a prize donation, we definitely could use it. So let me know, hit me up, and we'll chat. All right, we'll do a little chat there. So, but big thanks to all of you who have also signed up and such. Surveyor, happy belated birthday, DK. Sorry, missed it. Yeah, thank you for the birthday wishes. Thank you, G-Man, too, for the card, and everybody else for the birthday wishes over there too. So I noticed I did not get one from you.
Really, it's still the darn mail service. They're so slow. I can't believe it.
I notice you comment on everybody else's stuff on Facebook, but not mine. So no birthday wishes from intern.
Are you and I friends on Facebook?
Unless you deleted me.
No, I didn't delete you. I didn't know it was your birthday. I must have missed it.
I'm waiting for my gift yet
I spend so much time on social media that sometimes
you got like 5,000 friends, so it's hard to keep tab of everything. You're maxed out. So
I sure do.
Well,
happy birthday.
Thank you. You heading up to Jam at all this weekend? Or?
Yeah, I'll be out there Saturday. I'm going to the Barron County Fair a little bit later on this morning. Hog judging starts this morning, and we got a few other things we need to do up there. So we'll be heading north later on.
Yeah. The busy summer season continues, right?
Yep. I like that fair because, a lot of reasons, but they've got a milk stand up there. Big glasses of milk for 25 cents.
Nice.
Huge, chocolate or white.
That's awesome. You don't see that anymore, do you?
No, you don't. It used to be. I remember at the Chippewa Fairgrounds when, the world was different, and there were more dairy farms, and they used to, and I don't know if you remember when you were a kid in school, but I do. We used to buy milk for 2 cents a carton for the half pints. 10 cents a week. You got a carton of milk every day about 10 o'clock in the morning for a nice little break, and it was always 25 chocolate and 1 white. There was always one little girl that had to have white milk, but that was fine. She was drinking milk. But it used to be up at the Chippewa Fairgrounds. The dairy farmers in the county would all contribute to a fund, and they only charged, I think it was 10 cents for a carton of milk or something like that. And, of course, they don't have that anymore. The old food stand's not even there with all the new buildings, but the world moves on. But up at Rice Lake, you can still get a big glass, at least last year. I hope it's there this year. Last year, it's always been there. And the milk promoters and the dairy farmers, 25 cents, a big glass of milk.
That's awesome. I still remember in school, it was like Fridays we only got chocolate milk, or like once every month, like elementary school.
Yeah, and I remember when my kids were in school here in Eau Claire, they didn't do it anymore. I don't think they do it anymore. And I said, I asked the principal one day, I says, how come they don't have the milk break program anymore for the kids? It's too hard to keep track of who wants what. That's what do you mean? I'll keep track of it for you. All I can do is put the kids in each class there and put white milk, chocolate milk, and check mark.
Mm-hmm.
That'll tell you who's getting white and who's getting chocolate. So it's not a big administrative headache, but they don't do it anymore.
Good old days, man.
Yeah, it really was.
Man, oh man. So
fun times.
It was. So, well, geez, everybody, thanks for the birthday wish. Brandon's mom.
What was your best present that you got?
Hudson drew me a picture.
Did he really?
Yep.
Of me, I suppose, of me as best friend?
Yeah. Looked like a dog too. So
well, he got it right on and he nailed it.
Brandon's mom's listening to us right now from the Country Jam campgrounds over there too.
Oh, she's out there getting ready to. It's going to be a lot more fun out there this year than last year. Last year you had to have instead of taking your camper out there, you had to take your boat because it was so wet. It was nasty, but this year it should be beautiful.
Nice, cool morning temperature this morning. Heck yeah, absolutely.
She's probably sitting with her feet up, drinking a Bloody Mary right now.
In a hoodie too, that hoodie weather. Oh yeah, I love it.
No bugs.
No bugs, exactly. The Open is going on right now. Tiger doesn't tee off, in case anybody's wondering, until 8:37 our time here. But we got a handful of players right now that are quite a few handful of players who are tied for the lead at 2 under right now, and a few sitting there at 1 under.
I was watching some of the coverage on the Golf Channel leading up to it. And then this morning I came in and I don't know how I got somebody. Oh, I got Sirius Radio. So I turned on the PGA channel and was listening. And they said the weather is a whole lot different. It's been all week. The wind is blowing 25 miles an hour. The sky is gray. And some of the reporters were saying it's cold out here. So it's truly open weather.
So if you can do that, you can have a PGA championship in Wisconsin. Come on,
absolutely.
people.
I don't get us started on that because the PGA and that decision is so bogus. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Preaching to the choir now, right?
I know it. Yeah. Anybody in Wisconsin that likes to go to golf tournaments and, and it's not like you come to Wisconsin and nobody shows up. I mean, it's full.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. I want to lead things off here this morning, chatting a little green and gold here as training camp opens up on Monday. So there's some talk out there. Jordan Love doesn't have a contract yet. Would he show up to camp or not? So this was from Stephanie Sutton. She works at WISN 12 News, sports anchor over there. Looked like it was at a Jordan Love fundraiser camp and all that sort of stuff. And apparently reporters were asked not to ask Jordan Love questions about training camp or contract talks. But Stephanie still asked it because, as she posted in her Twitter post, I still needed to do my job. And so she asked, and this was kind of the interaction, audio courtesy from Stephanie Sutton. And he wouldn't answer, just kind of chuckled, and somebody off camera said, "News is coming," and then Jordan Love apparently also mumbled, "News is coming." So what that news is, I don't know what it is or anything like that. I don't think it'll happen. But if it does, what would be your reaction as a Packers fan if Jordan Love is not at camp and he's holding out for a contract on Monday?
It wouldn't be good for his public relations.
That's what I was kinda wondering. The Q rating or the PR or whatever,
Well, he's only had
1 year, full year.
Well, he's only had 10 good games.
Mhm.
The first part of the season was nothing to write home about.
Mhm.
So it's not like he's an established star yet. I think he's going to be really, really good.
Mhm.
How good remains to be seen, but he's, and I like the guy. I'm not, trying to be anti-Jordan Love at all because I like the guy. I think he's proven that he can play quarterback, but we don't know at what level yet.
Mhm.
That's my thought on it.
And that's kind of where I'm at too. It's like, okay, first of all, I don't want this as a story hovering over the team. I think it'll get done, and I don't think he will hold out. But I guess
He doesn't seem to be that kind of a guy.
Right. And
like some of the wide receivers we're hearing about, like
Brandon Ayuk wants to be
from
traded.
San Francisco and things like. I don't think he wants to do anything like that.
I don't either. And I know I don't know if some people are kind of like, oh, still nothing, and then you got that, and could he hold out? And I don't feel like that's going to be the case. I feel like if he does, though, I agree with you. I do wonder that, because he's got a high rating right now, right? I mean,
likability rating.
Yes, and it also helps that the guy he replaced doesn't have a very high likable rating right
now. And not just in Green Bay.
No,
not just in Green Bay for him either.
No, so part of me is kind of, that's why I'm asking, like, from a fan's perspective, what would be your reaction if he's not there Monday? And you factor in too, this is a team that's got, well, we're back to Super Bowl expectations, right? We've got high expectations for this ball club.
You bet.
So yeah, I feel like there would be some, like, oh, dude, really? I mean, you had, like you said, what, 10 really good games in the first, and they were really good games, and he finished off with a fantastic year.
You bet, yeah.
But after that, to hold off, I think there would be some fans that'd be like, come on, man,
And I don't know if it's we don't know, because we're not in the inner circle. Is it the Packers holding up? Is it Jordan Love's team holding up?
Playing a little hardball, whatever,
Is the money out of line from the Packers' point of view, or not enough from Jordan Love's point of view? We don't know. At least I don't. I haven't heard what the hang up is.
And I'll throw that. I know it's a different sport, but I mean, it's been newsworthy for the last week or so. If it is about the money and, wanting to be, top paid, and whether it's guaranteed money per year, whatever, quarterbacks like to set that new bar, right? For maybe for a minute, but if they got that 1 minute where they're the highest paid, they can at least say that. But you look at Jalen Brunson leaving $100 million off the table to help his team.
And he's in New York.
Yeah.
He's not exactly playing for the Milwaukee Bucks budget.
Right, exactly. So you got that, but then, it's like, because it's going to happen, right? I think we have this every year where we talk about quarterbacks saying, well, if they want to win, they got to help out with the salary cap and that sort of stuff. The perception of all it, like you said, I don't know what the holdup is. We don't know. Maybe we'll probably never know at this point, but I'm curious to see how this all kind of plays out. He will get a contract. I think now it's just it's the when. When is that going to happen?
And and I'm going back and forth in my mind. Has he proven himself yet to deserve a contract? And I'm just throwing this out there. I don't have an opinion one way or the other. To deserve one of these long-term contracts with unbelievable millions of dollars included, or a little shorter contract that pays him very well, but he still hasn't, taken his team to the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
And I and maybe as a fan, that's our thought out here. But in those locker rooms and in those circles, he deserves that kind of money. I don't know. I don't. To me, he's worth a whole lot more than Dak Prescott is to the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott's been around a long time. I think he's on the downhill slide of his career, and they're talking about him getting a new contract, and if they pay him $60 million a year, I think they're nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd rather pay $60 million for Jordan Love than Dak Prescott.
Worst case scenario, the absolute worst case scenario, it turns into a Daniel Jones situation, right? Where Daniel Jones had the really good year, led the Giants to the postseason, won a game in the postseason against the Vikings, got that huge contract that I think even everybody's like, whoa, that's a lot for Jones after 1 year. And then last year, I know he was hurt and all that, but still it was, it ain't looking like a good one right now.
And that's not necessarily that Jones contract, but, we can still ask the question, is he a flash in the pan? I certainly hope not. But to reward a guy for that 10-game stretch or whatever games it was at the end of the year with a contract that makes him the highest quarterback in the NFL, boy, that's a question that the Packer management has to be going over every day.
And if they're willing to do that, they got to be really confident. And that's the thing, like the Burrows, the Mahomes, those guys who have big deals, we saw them for a couple of years, right?
Yep.
We got to see them for a bigger sample size with those guys.
But the one thing, the difference between those guys and their teams is that those teams, unlike the Packers, played those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Love was on the bench for 3 years.
Yeah. Mahomes was one, but that's still different.
Yeah, but I mean, Holmes was 1 year too, but Mahomes. But still, there's a long time under that rookie contract for those guys. Yep. He's not under that rookie contract anymore.
No.
So, that's got the Packers kind of at a disadvantage as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is why we can talk like we're general managers, but I'm glad we're not a general manager.
I'm telling you what, because just think, you make a $500 million mistake, which the Giants did.
Mm-hmm.
You can't afford that.
Yeah.
And be competitive. And you look at how competitive the Giants are.
Mm-hmm.
Not very.
I'm just going to play devil's advocate in this whole situation here too. But, now you got to stretch. You got a year of opponents having that film on Jordan Love, right? He can't catch anybody by surprise. I think it's fair to say he caught a lot of people by surprise how he finished off the season and how well he was playing, right? Especially, you go through that first part of the season, even Goody had that presser where he said, these are very important final 10 games for Jordan Love in that contract. He put it out there because he wasn't playing at a high level. And then he turned it on. Something just clicked for the entire offense. Maybe it was just with the youth on there, but it worked out. But, there's that film. There's that, he can't catch anybody off guard, out there. People are going to expect great things from Jordan Love now. So there's a little bit more on his shoulders. What's that next step he can take now? Those greats that always are like a step ahead of those opposing teams.
Right.
Over there. So, we won't know until this season starts, though, too. So.
And you look at this, all of a sudden, and again, we're talking if, everything is speculation right now, if the Packers give Jordan Love this contract that makes him the highest or one of the highest paid players in the league, what does that do for the rest of the roster?
Right.
Well, if you paid Jordan Love, you got money to pay me too. San Francisco is going through that right now. And Kansas City, to a certain extent, has gone through that. Although Mahomes has deferred a lot of money to keep that team strong. Now, whether Jordan Taylor has that same kind of mentality, I don't know. But once you pay one guy, well, look at they paid Jones. They aren't going to pay their running back, and he's gone. So other players are going to see that and say, Jair Alexander is a good example of that. He wants more money because he sees that Jordan Love is going to get a big payday. So, it has just so many ripple effects as far as other salaries are concerned and other aspects on your team. And you can point to some of these things. But while I'm very curious about Jordan Love, obviously, I'm really curious about what Jerry Jones is going to do with Dak Prescott in Dallas. If he will pay him outlandish money for the kind of performance he gets from Dak Prescott. That game against Packers last year, I could have done as well as he did. He's not a big-time quarterback.
Well, and they got to pay CD Lamb over there, too.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons is going to have a new deal, big time, so... that's.
But that leads to, that Dak Prescott, the last contract was out of this world for him, and now he's got another one coming due. So I don't know when they start, giving that kind of money out, and of course the salary cap increases every year. So we're going to expect to see this continue. But I think Jordan Love is really the contract that a lot of people are keeping their eye on, more so than Dak Prescott, although I'm keeping an eye on that one because I don't know if how crazy Jerry Jones is going to get.
There's people
desperate, maybe is a better word.
That's probably the best one. Yeah, there's some thought could he be the first 60 million per year quarterback, and that's just like, okay.
If he's 60 million, what is Mahomes worth? What is Purdy worth for San Francisco? Mr. Irrelevant. How much is he worth? He's got a contract coming up too.
What if I pose this question? I'll throw it out to everybody out there too. So, Mahomes, when he signed that deal, it was a 10-year deal. You don't see that too often.
No.
And it's already kind of like a lot of people like who understand the cap a lot better is like, yeah, Mahomes gave them a discount, gave the Chiefs a discount.
Big discount.
Yeah. So you got that 10-year deal. He's still getting a nice chunk of money. He ain't, he's doing well. But compared to other stuff, yeah, he's getting he gave the Chiefs a heck of a deal. Say Jordan Love's representation came to Goody and said, "Okay, we're going to give you two options. We'll do a 10-year deal like Mahomes did, or we want a 5-year deal kind of similar to what the Burrows and Trevor Lawrence's and those guys got. You want to commit 10 years to Jordan Love and maybe it ends up being a cheaper deal, after a couple years, after a few years, or do the shorter deal, but you got to pay a little bit more right away."
At this point, I'd take the shorter deal.
Yeah.
Because he's not established or anything. Mahomes was established by the time he signed that deal. He had already won at least one Super Bowl, and you could see he was, the most significant player in the NFL. So you knew what you had there. I don't think we really and truly know exactly what the Packers have with Jordan Love. That's why to commit to 10 years, even though it would be a little cheaper, might look attractive up front, but how good is this guy going to be?
Mm-hmm.
I'd take the shorter deal, even though it'd be more expensive, but that's just me.
Do you think with the fact that we are almost at camp and they've had this whole off season to get something done that's still not done that we know of, is there something there, or is that just
I don't know. That's standard operating procedure in the NFL a lot of times
because remember Aaron, when he got his first start, Ted gave him a contract, a new deal, 8 games into a season.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen that, but I don't know if that means anything or if it's just, and maybe it's just because of the same stuff we're talking about. Maybe Green Bay's like, great, final half of the season, but maybe we don't want to commit $55 million per year. And Jordan Love's camp's like, well, hey, now, look at the numbers and this, and that's the quarterback market. It's just that give or take a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Well, no, both sides have got ammunition to deal with. But again, you look at it, and if you wait till the season goes on, does that put more pressure on Jordan Love, or does that put more pressure on the Packers? He's got to perform. If he doesn't sign a contract before the season, and he waits to get into the season, and all of a sudden the Packers are 3-5.
And he's not playing well.
Yeah. Then there's some questions that you really got to delve deep into. So I think there's some risk on both sides. But I think if Jordan Love doesn't sign that contract, I think there's more risk on his side than there is on the Packers, because the Packers aren't going to run out of money.
No,
that's not a problem.
No.
But Jordan Love, if he doesn't play well to start the season, the first half of the season, he's losing bargaining power, I would think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, all right. Tell you what, join us in the convo. Hit us up with some text, okay? 715-830-1912. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back to finish up the first hour with some of your thoughts. We got some baseball chat coming up a little bit later on as well. Stick around. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Have you been to the VFW Post 305 lately? Well, let me tell you, they've got some new and exciting things happening there lately. First off, new kitchen hours every day, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. except Fridays, which are 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Plus Saturday and Sunday breakfast served until noon. Daily specials, Wednesday nights and Saturdays. They have live music, plus their patio has new outdoor tables and chairs to go along with that beautiful view with the river back there too. So get on down to VFW Post 305, located at 1300 Star Avenue in Eau Claire.
Been there myself and
Mhm.
enjoy it. Good food.
Yes,
Fun
absolutely.
to talk to some of those old boys that have been in the military too.
Yes. Uh, Before we get to some baseball talk here, quick hoops Bucks Nuggets. Apparently, Chris Middleton had 2 ankle surgeries this offseason. A surgery on both ankles. This is according to the Athletic. Shortly after the playoffs, Middleton underwent surgery on his left ankle to address an issue that plagued him throughout the season. Per sources, the procedure cleaned up some of the lingering damage that stemmed from the left ankle sprain that he suffered on February 6th when he landed on Kevin Durant's foot after attempting a jumper. Middleton said at that time, a month after, I can't think of an ankle sprain I've had this bad like this. After it happened, I tried to play, run it off a little bit, see if I was going to loosen up or whatever. Just didn't feel comfortable. And then in addition to that surgery, he also needed a minor arthroscopic procedure to clean up a lingering issue in his right ankle. That surgery occurred mid-June. He was walking without pain or discomfort when he visited his teammates in Las Vegas for summer league action this past Saturday. For a timeline, he has already started light court work, and he is expected to be ready for the start of this upcoming season. However, though, it's another issue with Chris Middleton, who for the last few years, ever since really, would you say the NBA Finals when they became champions, he's been dealt a tough blow with a lot of injuries.
Yeah, there's no question about that, and I think his effectiveness is waning to maybe, I don't know, not very. You can't count on him in the future. I don't think. I like Chris Middleton. He's been a good player, but I don't think going forward you can put many eggs in his basket.
No, and I would echo what you said there too. I like him a lot, but it's just like, and he had some good moments in this past postseason too. Had some, a couple really big games, especially with all the other injuries that was affected with this team. But as a guy that you can maybe count night in, night out,
no consistency.
Would you? I mean, where's that
and
line?
It's because of his injuries.
Yeah, I mean, is the line like if you get? It's kind of almost is it almost like Wade Miley-esque when it comes to the Brewers? Like if you get 100 innings out of him for a year or 80 or whatever it was, it's like that's a win because it's like every other year he's got issues. Maybe for Middleton, it's like 50 games or something.
Yeah, and you can't, in 50 games, but how many minutes a game can he play? I mean, if you can't count on a guy with making that kind of salary to play at least half of every game he plays, if it's only 50, he's got to play at least half the minutes in every game. He's, you can't pay a guy that much money to not produce.
Yeah. So we'll see. But, this, I think, again, I know I was banging the table yesterday. I think that Gary Trent Jr. signing is even a little bit more important now with, when you factor in Middleton's age and injury history in too. So
I think it's more the injury history than the age with him too.
Apparently, too, the Bucks are kicking the tires potentially on some former NBA veterans. Apparently, they worked out Isaiah Thomas, not Pistons Isaiah Thomas, the other Isaiah Thomas. Don't know if that's going to be something that they'll sign him up, but he did play a little bit with the Suns last year. But you want to talk about a flash in the pan? That might be a player who was a flash in the pan that 1 year with the Celtics, and he was a really good player that year. It was just, again, that was a guy that also dealt with some injuries and hasn't been able to find that magic again.
Yeah, and the thing is, some of these guys, they have a good year, but all of a sudden it's contract year, and teams say, no, we're not going to pay you. Or if they do pay, you were that flash in the pan and never panned out. It's tough.
Yeah. So Speaking of hoops, we got to give a tip of the cap here quick to Caitlin Clark. Last night, 19 assists, setting the WNBA single game assists record. She also finished with 24 points, 6 rebounds to go with that. She obviously gets talked a lot about her scoring and shooting from the logo and deep, but her passing, I think it was this was a few months ago when I was listening to Boeheim on Dan Patrick's show. And he said the thing that impresses him the most about her is her passing ability. And I know that probably isn't that's not the highlight, that's not the headline with her game. It's about the scoring, but she is a fantastic disher of the ball too.
And that's been the problem early on with the Indiana Fever. These players have not been at the same speed as Caitlin Clark. She plays the game faster. You better keep your eyes open because she'll get you the ball. If there's a seam, she'll get you the ball. She's an excellent passer. She sees the floor so well. And Indiana is starting to win a few games now because I was watching that game. I didn't watch the whole thing, so I didn't see the end of it. But she did get the ball to these players where no other player is going to get in the ball in that spot. She is an excellent passer. She's got great court vision. And why the WNBA doesn't embrace her, I don't know if the other players are jealous. This Angel Reese, good player, but I wouldn't give you a nickel for her personality because she's very me type of a player. And why the WNBA isn't embracing Caitlin Clark, because let's face it, she's selling out stadiums. Brianna Stewart, great player. Diana Taurasi has been a great player. They aren't selling out stadiums. They never have. Caitlin Clark is selling out stadiums, and these players, their biggest complaint is they don't make enough money, so they got to go overseas. They have to go overseas and play. Well, embrace people like Caitlin Clark, sell out more stadiums, get more TV revenue, more games on TV, and accept that Caitlin Clark is a bona fide WNBA player and she can help turn that league around and get more eyes on their game. I just don't know what the problem is with some of those players in that league. Is the jealousy that strong? That's unbelievable. I mean, that's like in the NBA if they didn't embrace Michael Jordan.
Right.
I mean, she's a transitional player. Now, is she the best player? I'd never say that, but she's a transitional player as far as the WNBA is concerned. The WNBA has been very much the same all this time. Now you bring in someone like Caitlin Clark who can really do some things other players can't do.
Right.
And why they're not embracing her more, I don't understand.
This also, speaking of which, the WNBA with the new NBA rights deals that are being reported out there, the WNBA would receive about $200 million per year as part of the NBA's recently approved media rights deals, even with an annual increase of around $140 million. The new number still concerns the executive director of the WNBA Players Union. Terry Jackson said in a statement Wednesday that the WNBA is being undervalued at $2.2 billion over 11 years. Quote, "We have wondered for months how the NBA would value the WNBA and its media rights. With reportedly a $75 billion deal on the table, the league is in control of its own destiny. More precisely, the NBA controls the destiny of the WNBA. The WNBA's current media deal, which is valued at about $60 million per year, is set to expire after the 2025 season." So it's a big increase, but they think it should be more. And it's because of Caitlin Clark.
Exactly.
So,
and other players better accept that.
I agree. All right, 1 hour in already this morning. Got some news updates, and then we're going to talk some baseball coming up after these few words. Second hour kicking off on this Thursday morning, July 18th. A big thanks for everybody tuning in, however you may be tuning in this morning. We've got Outdoor Tidbits coming up at 8:30 with DNR Warden Jake Boak. So if you got any questions, now is the time to text those on over. 715-830-1912. We got a little receiver defer coming up at about, let's say 7:40 or so. So if you have any good receiver defer questions you'd like to give or send us our way, send those puppies on over too. We got a sole leader for the Open Championship right now, Justin Thomas, 3 under. He's done for the day through 18. So he is in the clubhouse and he's the overall leader at 3 under.
That's interesting because, like I said earlier, I was watching some of this coverage of practice and all this stuff, and they were saying that Justin Thomas looks like he really is showing that he knows how to play this kind of a golf course, and he's really comfortable out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So evidently they knew what they were talking about, at least for one round.
Right. Exactly. So we'll keep you posted on the leaderboard over there and see how everything kind of plays out there too. So I want to talk a little baseball here. We've got obviously All-Star breaks going on. Brewers, Twins will get back into gear on Saturday here. But there's a few things I want to hit up because there's this Twitter account called Brooksgate, and it's some really interesting info. And the thing that's been trending quite a bit the last couple days on social media has been this graph or graphic or numbers about the 2023 revenue for each team compared to their payroll, compared to the 2024 payroll for these teams. So the Mets 2023 revenue, they made $393 million. Their payroll for this year is $342 million, which equals out to about 87% over there. So Brewers are actually number 15 on this list. They're dead in the middle. They made $320 million in revenue. Their payroll is at $153 million. So payroll is about 47.8% of the revenue. The one thing I will say with this though too, that it doesn't, from what I gathered, from what I was looking up, it doesn't gather the other expenses. Like probably operating costs, electric bills, beer vendors, all that other stuff, right? It doesn't factor all that other stuff in there too.
One expense that I always wonder how much it is, travel expense.
Yeah.
Between air flights, hotels, meals, ground transportation, that has to be an unbelievable number because 81 games a year and they're on the road, and you fly to California, stay in the hotels, and they're not staying at a Super 8 out on the corner out the interstate. They're in the big hotels downtown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, and then the Twins were number 16. So you got Brewers and Twins right there in the middle of the pack with everything. So, and to kind of put this in perspective with how it doesn't really tell the whole story, it's kind of interesting. The Yankees are at number 18. They made a whopping $679 million in revenue. Their payroll is $316 million. So people, if you don't you're like, oh, wow, that means the Brewers are spending more on no. Brewers made $320 million. Yankees made $679 million. Brewers are spending $153 million on payroll. Yankees are spending $316 million on payroll. So got to factor that stuff in.
That's a great way to explain the difference between the big major markets and the smaller markets, how you have to do business.
Yep, exactly. And the other thing I thought was really interesting on this, so I was going down in the weeds here a little bit. They broke down how the big 4 U.S. sports leagues make their money. Okay, so the NFL's king, $18.7 billion in revenue last year. Baseball and the NBA looks like they tied. They both had $10.9 billion in revenue last year. NHL $6.8 billion. Only two of these leagues, the majority of their revenue, the majority of their money came from ticket sales. Take a guess of which of these 2 leagues where the majority of their revenue came from ticket sales.
Let's say the NHL and baseball.
Ding, ding, ding. Nice work. Ticket sales, baseball, 31% of it from the revenue came from ticket sales. A whopping 44% from the NHL, the revenue came from ticket sales.
I wonder how much revenue comes from beer sales at $12 and $13 a bottle.
They got concessions and parking together on this one. So, but the NHL, dead last was their local TV/media, 11%.
I can see that.
Compared to the NFL, that was their highest revenue, 66%. 66% of the revenue came from their TV deals, their media deals, and all that. Just some interesting numbers.
Well, hockey operates, baseball is all by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else is going on besides baseball right now. And you look at football, the NBA starts in October, football starts in September, hockey's in there. Hockey's fighting NBA and NFL. And you fight the NFL, it's bad enough. Then you throw basketball in there, and it's a tough nut for them to crack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just some interesting. So, like the NFL, 66% of the revenue comes from national TV media, 17% is ticket sales, 10% is team sponsors, 6% is concessions/parking, 1% is local TV and media. Whereas baseball, 31% ticket sales, 26% national TV, 23% local TV, 10% team sponsors, 10% concessions and parking.
And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. That puts pressure on the other sports. I mean, you look at the NBA now, and the big talk is the NBA on TNT.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best show of all the sports. That's the best, talking head show.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably going to be gone, sacrificed at the altar of the almighty dollar, because the NBA's got to find more revenue. And TNT probably can't come up with that kind of money.
No. And I do wonder, too, with Barkley saying he's done after this year, that probably factors into whether they want to. But I don't know if I believe Barkley, though, either.
I was just going to say the same thing. How many of those guys have said that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Barkley ain't going to go quietly, or he won't be going off to the sunset and, sitting on a golf course. He'll be involved in some sort of media thing out there. So
he might, he turned down an offer to go to Live.
Yeah, I know. I wonder if he regrets that a little bit.
I wonder if he might change his mind and do that if they still want him. Of course, I don't know, but he's the straw that stirs the drink in that. There's no question about it. Ernie's good, Shaq and Kenny, but
they got a good chemistry.
They really do. And they laugh at each other and poke fun at each other, and it really is fun to watch.
To the Brewers, you want some interesting rankings where as we get set for the quote unquote second half of this season, batting average. Brewers 5th best in all of Major League Baseball in terms of batting average. OPS, they're number 10. OPS with runners in scoring position. Brewers 5th best in the league. How many times did we say about runners in scoring position over the last few years? Brewers 5th best OPS with runners in scoring position.
With 2 outs? They break it down that far?
Not on this graphic, but I got to imagine they're probably one of the better ones out there with 2 outs too.
This year they've done well.
Relief pitcher ERA, 3rd best in all of Major League Baseball. Outs above average. This kind of relates to something you've talked about. This is pretty much defensive play. 2nd best in Major League Baseball right now.
That's why they're in first place. They got to keep it up in the second half because the dead birds are coming to life down there in St. Louis.
If you want to look at, this is according to Fangraphs, the remaining strength of schedule for these teams. Brewers have the 16th toughest remaining schedule. If you're talking about some of the other divisional teams here, trying to look where so the Boston Red Sox have the toughest. Actually, Cleveland has the 3rd toughest one. It's Cardinals 9th toughest remaining schedule. Then you've got the Cubs have the 29th easiest, or 29th hardest, excuse me. And then
another one of the easiest.
Yes, exactly. The only one that's got the easiest one is the Giants right now. But Brewers, again, kind of middle pack. Cincinnati's 15. So just a little nugget in case something that kind of piques your interest or something like that. So,
well, it's interesting with the Cubs and whether or not they're going to be able to do anything with that to get back in the race or at least get back to respectability. Because right now, I think anybody that's a Cubs fan, Cubs management, I'm sure Craig Counsell is as well, very disappointed in their performance.
Yep, I would agree with that. So this is cool too. I love interesting nuggets here. Total pitches thrown for over 100 miles per hour in the pitch tracking era, 2008 to present. The Cardinals have the most, 2,631. Reds have the second most, 2,415. Chapman has the most, 3,672. So that
he's thrown that many pitches over 100 miles an hour.
Yes.
Wow.
Then
he came up with Cincinnati.
The next closest is Jordan Hicks at 1,680. Brewers haven't had too many. They're the fourth fewest, 279.
I'd like to get in a batting cage where I know where the ball's going to go and stand there with a bat and have it programmed for 100 miles an hour just to see what it's like. When you're sitting in the stands, 100 miles an hour, wow. But to stand in a batter's box and have a ball coming at you 100 miles an hour. And like I said, I want it in a batting cage where I know where it's going to be programmed to go.
Yeah.
I don't want to have some guy's arm all of a sudden get away from him, but I'd love to stand there and feel what 100-mile-an-hour pitch is.
I would agree. I want to do that too, but yeah, I want the extra cushion or something out there to make sure it's out there. So, but yeah, it's some interesting numbers as we get set for the second half, quote unquote, second half of the season. What's your biggest question mark or concern, if you have any, with the Brewers heading into this last 2.5 months of the season?
It has to be pitching. Starting pitching. I'm confident. I think a lot of these young guys had this week off and have rested. These guys are in such great shape. They work out hard. At least the ones that are good are going to be even better than they are now. And so I don't have much concern about that. But in the hitting, the clutch hitting Contreras is kind of slowing down just a little bit here as we got towards the break. And I know he was at the All-Star game, but I don't think he, overexerted himself. So I'm just hoping their stamina hold. Their pitching and their stamina are what I'm hoping for. And you always keep your fingers crossed. The wild card is always injury. Somebody going to get hurt.
Yeah.
You got Garrett Mitchell back, but we
still kind of waiting for him to
really break out.
Yep.
But you can't have guys like Bryce Trang get hurt. He's been really and truly part of the engine that makes this thing go for the Brewers this year. And Frelick has been good. Adames, hopefully, we got to the All-Star break, he began hitting again because he was really cold for a while.
He was one of those guys you probably didn't want to go on a break.
Yeah, exactly, because he was just coming on and starting to hit again. But that's, I think they've shown that they can play first place baseball, and they've just got to keep it up. And a manager, a confident Murphy, is going to be able to keep them there. So I'm confident and hopeful that they can hold on to this lead, maybe increase it. I don't think St. Louis is going away. They had such a poor start. But whatever they found, I don't think they found any new players, but whatever they found, that St. Louis aura, so to speak, is there. And they're back.
You look at, I know the big thing now leading into this is the trade deadline, which is coming up on July 30th. So about 12 days here. But you look at National League wise, the standings, and we've heard the Nationals are going to be sellers. They're still just 6 back. But they got the third worst record in the National League. Colorado, Miami, the only 2 that are worse than them. Cubs are right above them, but they're just 3.5 back. So you got all these teams yet that are still not that far out from a playoff spot. So I'm kind of curious to see how many guys are actually going to be available at the trade deadline.
It's a good point, because that extra wild card in there that they put in here a while back, that does make a difference. And 3.5 out is nothing when you still got 75, 80 games to play.
Yeah. Right now, the wild card teams in the National League is Atlanta, which I think we all feel like is probably going to get one of those for sure. St.
And
Louis.
they've come from the grave. They were
Mhm.
they were counted out early, and all of a sudden, they've got a few guys that got hot, and they're winning some games.
St. Louis has the second wild card spot right now, and then the Mets. Talk about coming back from the grave too.
Yeah, because everybody was thinking Alonso's going to be available and some other people on that roster, but I don't think that's going to be happening.
No, Diamondbacks are one back. Padres are one back. Pirates are just 1.5 back from a wild card spot, and
Arizona is a team that has risen from the ashes. The last year, the rookie of the year, what's his name?
Corbin Carroll.
Corbin Carroll. He's starting to play like he did last year. He had a really cold first half of the season, but he's come on lately. So it could be a really interesting fight the rest of the way. A lot of teams are in it, and that means you're going to get their best effort.
The one team I'm really curious to see if they do anything by the deadline to see if they try to make a run is Pittsburgh. Because you got Paul Skeens, with how well he's pitching. You've got O'Neill Cruz over there. Brian Reynolds, is an all-star over there too. You got with just 1.5 back and some of that younger talent. And I know Reynolds just locked up for a longer deal and such. But do they try to make some noise to try to get in there with the Paul Skeens hype right now, which rightfully so. That dude
he's good. He's going to be super. But and they had Derek Cole, same story a few years ago. They couldn't afford to keep him, but do they want to make a run while they've got Skeens on his rookie type salary? And what they really feel their team is all about, I'd be surprised if they went out and did much, just because of the salary structure and the tradition, the history of their ownership.
I think if Pittsburgh makes the postseason, though, they might actually get a lot of maybe more than they've ever had views on TV with Paul Skeens starting a playoff game.
Well, no question about it.
I'd tune in for that.
Yeah, we haven't had a rookie like this really and truly in the National League that I can think of since Dwight Gooden. Dwight Gooden was only 19. This kid went to college, but still in all, being a rookie, starting the All-Star game, and the debate is still out there whether or not his manager should have taken him out against Milwaukee when he had a no-hitter going for 7 innings. But that being the case, the kid's drawn some headlines and drawn some attention.
I think, a lot of people obviously talk about how hard he throws, and that's a headline. I just think it's the moxie he has. Even that game against the Brewers, I thought the Brewers did a good job of trying to rack up the pitch count the first few innings. Dude didn't get rattled. He actually got better than after that.
Yeah, he's real. He seems to be for the, and they say that, they'll scout him once they get some tape on him. They got tape on him, and they're still not hitting him.
You still can't hit him.
You can bet the Brewers looked at a lot of tape before that outing, and they didn't hit him.
Nope. So
he's the real deal. I'd be surprised if he's not the real deal.
I don't want to see him in the National League Central unless he's playing with the Brewers. So.
Yeah, I know it. But yeah, I don't know. But the history of Pittsburgh ownership, bottom line is they're cheap. They've taken a lot of this money that they've gotten from other teams playing the luxury tax and everything else, put it in the bank rather than spend it on players.
Right. Yep.
So I'd be surprised if they did. But maybe public pressure being what it is, they'd be forced to. I think the Brewer fans and the public have put a lot of pressure on Atanasio. They let Corbin Burns go, and really and truly, they couldn't afford him in that market. He's going to get a heck of a contract because he's doing really well for Baltimore this year.
Yep.
He's not a flash in the pan. He's going to be the guy. Scherzer and Verlander, thank you. They're out of the picture. Corbin Burns is the guy that's probably going to be the highest paid, get the attention of the big contract. Baltimore going to pay it to him? I don't know.
Yankees already got Garrett Cole under a huge deal too, and they got Soto and Judge. Soto, they're probably
Boston's got to get back in the game pretty soon.
You'd think,
and
right?
That would be a team I would think would offer Corbin Burns a lot of money. I don't know the situation with Baltimore's ownership or their thought process on these contracts, but I'm waiting for Boston to get back in it. Boston fans are getting upset that their team isn't better than it has been the last few years.
I don't know if it means anything, but Corbin is from California. I don't know if that's something that would be for him to go back there. Giants, who missed out on a lot of people, it seems like last year, would they be players for him or something? I don't know if the Dodgers would have enough.
They talked about the Giants being a player for Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
If they're going to be talking in that kind of money for Shohei Ohtani, I mean, I don't know how close to $700 million they would have come.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're even talking in that ballpark, I would think that Corbin Burns would be the kind of guy that they would want, a California kid.
I would think so too. But money talks, and this will be his first crack at a big one. So
he's going to get a big one.
He's going to get a big one. So, all right, we got to take a quick break. Don't forget, if you want, send us over some receiver defer questions. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Let's do a little throwback Thursday. It's going to go back to the baseball world, 1927.
I remember it well.
Right. Your buddy, Ty Cobb.
Oh, yeah.
Set a Major League Baseball record by getting his 4,000th career hits. He had a total of 4,191 before he retired in 1928. And as we know, Pete Rose has the most hits right now in a career, 4,256. But the little throwback is when Ty Cobb on this day hit number 4,000. 4,000. Another record you'd think won't be broke? Do you think that one will be broke?
Pete Rose's hit record?
Yeah.
No.
Trying to see who's the active leader right now to see if this is all accurate or not. Oh boy, this is tough to find. And
I don't think those guys are going to play long enough because they make too much money.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, it's a different world today.
Yeah. Oh, and then, how long do they take to get up, right? From the minor leagues and such. So, but there's your little throwback Thursday for you here this morning. So, before we get to a little receiver to fur, we're getting ready for the college football season here, and ESPN now has come out with their top 25 college football stadiums. Top 25 college football stadiums. I haven't been to too many. I don't know if you've been to a few in your lifetime.
I've been to the Big House.
Mm-hmm. You've been to the Rose Bowl, right?
Been to the Rose Bowl.
That is not number one, though.
I'm not surprised.
Tiger Stadium, LSU is number one. I've never been there, so I don't know.
I had a brother when he was playing for the Badgers. They went down there to play a night game, and in the Bayou, and he said that is a home field advantage. At night at LSU, it's a home field advantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
tough place to play.
Rose Bowl was number 2. Michigan number 3. Number 4, Notre Dame.
Been there. I've been to Notre Dame Stadium. It is kind of interesting. It's kind of, because you do sit in the stands, and depending on where we were sitting in a place where over the back of the end zone you could see touchdown Jesus, on the building there.
Yep.
So that is, I don't know. Is this just the stadium or the surrounding environment? What are they talking about? Because I didn't think the stadium itself was anything super.
So the parameters was no criteria. They asked 14 of their college football writers to rank the best stadiums in the sport. Writers were asked to submit their top 20 stadiums in order. They awarded points, 20 for first, 19 for second, all the way down to 1 point for number 20. So really no criteria. I'm sure history and lore has got to factor into some of these.
I was just going to say, so start from the top again.
So Tiger Stadium, LSU.
Yep.
The Rose Bowl, so UCLA. Michigan, Notre Dame, Beaver Stadium, Penn State, number 5. 6 is Husky Stadium, the Washington Huskies.
Yeah, that's a neat place because it's out there, and people actually drive their boat.
That's the picture there. Yeah, all the boats and tailgating and that.
They drive their boats, and they got a big harbor there that people park their boats.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they charge for. Talk about paying for parking. I don't know what kind of charge they have for parking there.
No kidding, right? Holy moly. Number 7 is Ohio Stadium.
Yeah, the Horseshoe.
Number 8 is Camp Randall on there. Number 9 is Alabama.
That's interesting.
And 10 is Tennessee Volunteers. That's your top 10.
Tennessee that's the biggest one in the country. 10,000 they can
100 is now listed. It says here one of the largest capacities in the sport is now listed at 101,915 following some renovations over the years.
Yeah, I know they're over 100,000.
Boy, that's huge. What they have for Wisconsin here, the site of Camp Randall Stadium is steeped in history. Wisconsin's state fair took place there before the Civil War. Union soldiers were trained there during the war, but it might be most recognized for a recent tradition, Jump Around. In 1998, Wisconsin blasted House of Pain's 92-song Jump Around between the third and fourth quarters of its homecoming game against Purdue. Students and others in both stadium decks bounced to the song, causing the venue to shake with excitement. Badgers went on to beat the Boilermakers and began playing The song before the fourth quarter of every game, players and visiting fans often join in on Jump Around, creating one of the most exciting and recognizable scenes in college football.
And if you watch Badger football on TV when they're at a home game, if you're not at the game, but invariably the announcers will, if it's the first time there, they said, the real reason I came is to watch this jump around that they have between, the game is going to be exciting, but I want to see jump around.
Number 12, where Army plays.
Where do they play? I didn't know they had their own stadium.
Is it Michie Stadium, established in 1924?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they come in at number 12. I'm just kind of looking for some other notable ones going through.
Any other in the Big Ten?
Nebraska's at 16. Let me go back up there. Yeah, Clemson was at 11. So Nebraska's at 16. I guess we got to factor in the Pac-12 teams coming over now too, don't we?
That's right. Yeah, you got Washington and
so Washington's on there because Oregon was on here. The Ducks, we got to factor they're 14. Auburn's 17. Georgia's 18. Florida State's Florida. Ole Miss. USC is 22. The Coliseum over there. Appalachian State's at 23. Wow. And then, no, that's it. Texas rounds it out at 25. So
Oklahoma's not in there.
Oklahoma is. They're at 24.
Oh, okay.
They're at 24. So, but, yeah. There you go. Camp Randall, top 8.
Yeah. And, people say the top 8. When are we going to be a top 8 team?
Yeah.
Really and truly, because the facility is there, the fan support is there. It's a challenge to get. And it's going to be more so now going forward.
I think it's cool, and maybe it's just me being the history nerd that I am. But when you look at these stadiums, they put where they were the years they were established. You talk about like NFL and all these other stadiums, they're so quick after 20 years. Hey, we need a new stadium. We need a new stadium. You look at the years these things were established, and yes, they've undergone renovations and such. But I mean, Tiger Stadium established 1924, Rose Bowl 1922, Michigan 1927, Notre Dame 1930, Beaver Stadium at Penn State 1960, Husky Stadium 1920, Ohio State 1922, Camp Randall 1917.
I was going to say Camp Randall's one of the oldest. And another difference between those and these new modern NFL stadiums, they're in the cities. Lambeau is in the city. You got Soldier Field in the city right there along Lakeshore Drive. But you look at so many of these other stadiums, and they've got them in a special, I don't know, TIF district or whatever
Yep.
So it's you got neighborhood around there,
right?
And that's what's neat.
The newest, if you will, stadium on this list. Again, we know they've all undergone renovations, and that it's actually Virginia Tech, 1965. It's the newest one on here.
Yeah, when did they build the Seattle Superdome? And then they tore that, blew that down. That didn't last very long. Houston Astrodome, they blew that up and tore that down. The Humphrey Dome, they blew that up and tore that down and built their new stadium. They don't stay around long.
Vaught Hemingway Stadium, Ole Miss, 1915.
Yeah,
over almost 100 years we're coming, or over 100 years we're over. So,
but again, they're on campus. A lot of those are on campus, and you're not going to move them off campus because you got to get the students there,
right?
And like in Madison, the tradition in a lot of Twin Cities. Tradition, that's a newer stadium, but still in all, the students can walk.
Looks like Iowa
and stumble home.
26. Cotton Bowl was 27. Looks like Iowa's 28 because they have the others with receiving votes on there. So, kind of interesting.
It is. And I'd have been surprised if Camp Randall hadn't been in the top 10. I didn't expect it to be number 1, but I would have been surprised if it hadn't been in the top 10.
Me too.
Because it is and all these college stadiums for the most part are traditional. I haven't been to a lot of them, like I said, but the ones I've been to have been interesting, and they've all got their individual character.
Yep, no doubt. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we got Receiver to Fur coming up in just a couple minutes. Let's wrap up the second hour with a little receive or defer here this morning. I will defer to you to kick off receive or defer in turn.
This is something that has been on my, I just, as I watch it, I think, wow. And I don't know if you've watched any of these NBA Summer League games.
A little bit, yep.
But receiver defer, the NBA Summer League shows how unprepared most of the players are in that league to make an NBA roster and have an effect. I just see, I'm going to receive that obviously because I just been shake my head every time I watch it. There are some, including Bronny Jr., Bronny James. These guys, if this is the quality of NBA players of the future, that league is not going in the right direction.
Yeah, I could receive that.
There are a few outstanding players that are going to make it, and maybe they're just filling out rosters with some of the other guys. But it just doesn't look to me like there's a lot of talent out there. They're not getting the coaching. They get out of high school and they want to go right away, earn some money. They don't want to go to the colleges and learn the game from some of these established college coaches. I just think, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would receive that. So, yeah.
All right. Receiver defer. Freddie Peralta has to pitch better in the second half of the season if the Brewers are to hold on to the lead in the second half.
100% receive. He's one of my top players, people to watch in the second half because we need better from him. Consistently better from him.
He'll pitch a few good innings and then he'll give up the gopher ball.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, he seems like he just gives that whiplash ball up. He throws it and it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think he's got to be better. And I don't know what the problem is. He'll pitch a few good innings, but he just can't get through consistently these starts to the 6th or 7th inning.
Well, like in a couple of his last outings in the last month or so, he's been giving up 2 games, 10 hits.
Yeah,
which are career highs for him. So, yeah, we gotta see better. We gotta see a little better from him. No question about it.
And that's basically what I have. I was going to have something on Jordan Love, but we talked about that earlier, so
okay,
we won't. We
could bring it back. I was
just going to receive or defer that Jordan Love has to come into this training camp with a contract to show the leadership that he needs to show, because he has never had a big contract. Aaron Rodgers, that was something over time. He'd had a contract or two. They knew he was coming back, and we know Jordan Love's coming back. But I think for leadership purposes, he has to have a contract.
I'll defer.
Okay.
I think he can. I think it would be even more maybe of a leadership if he showed up without that contract, saying, "Hey, let's go here. We got big goals here.
Yeah,
we got big aspirations."
Another way to look at it, we do. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how and when this turns out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think it's going to happen before the regular season for sure starts. So.
Hope so.
Veterans got a report on Sunday. Maybe they're just waiting for him to sign the dotted line when he gets over there.
Yeah, I just hope that he's ready to play for you for all these important summer games.
I don't want him to play in these preseason games.
You don't know?
Nope. I don't want him to go out there.
I wonder if he will.
He did last year, which I get.
Yeah.
I don't think he will this year. I don't think he will.
Well, I can't see any reason why he probably should, unless he wants to just
maybe a drive or a couple,
get up to game speed. But how many of these other teams are going to play there? You can't take a chance on getting hurt by some guy from another team wanting to make a name for himself and make the roster by hitting a quarterback like him. So you do have to be careful.
Mm-hmm. Receive or defer. Tiger makes the cut.
I'll receive it.
Ooh,
I think he knows how to play these kind of golf courses as much or more than even some of the Europeans. He's just so smart, and it's not a hilly golf course. I'm going to say receive. I think he's going to make the cut.
Ooh, I'm going to defer that, and I'm hoping it's more reverse psychology than anything.
No, I think
over there, but no, I don't know. I'm a big Tiger fan. I've gone with top 10s and making cuts, and I'm starting to wane on that big time now.
Well, I think these courses that they play over there, I think the thinking part of the game plays more into it than the Masters, than even the U.S. Open. PGA. I just think he can think his way around the golf course, and I think he'll make the cut.
JT's still he's a co-leader now with Sam Hutsby.
Everyday name in golf.
Yeah, right. You know him?
No, is he American? Where's he
No,
from?
he is. He's on the European tour right now, but
Okay.
he was born in the UK. 3 professional wins. So, Justin Rose is also just 1 back. He's 200. Got a still few group of guys in there that are 2 back. So Tiger, wow, excuse me.
I don't think he can win, but
No.
I think he can make the cut.
Tiger will tee off in under an hour from now. It looks like so. 8:37. You got plenty of time to
Yeah, so that'll
watch
be about
his
2:30 this afternoon our time, or over there rather.
over there. Yeah. Let's go. What was
That might be the only. That might be one of the challenges, though, having a late and an early. If you had an early and then a late, so you get more rest. So that could play into it. I don't know, depending on how good that leg is. But again, it's not a lot of hills. You know, these are you're playing out in the wide open plains of Scotland, right along the ocean, and so it's relatively level. So I think that's going to have an effect on Tiger's game positively.
We're going to have to hit this up in the next hour. I just saw this. But ESPN apparently ranked the top 100 professional athletes since the year 2000.
Ooh, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. So think
they
about
got a horse in there?
I just went through the first 3, and so far, no. So,
remember the last time they put Secretariat in there, and some people were up in arms over that.
So remember the key here since 2000. So no MJ, no Michael Jordan, none of those. So I'm just quickly kind of scrolling down here. So think about who you would put at 1 and who maybe see if they got the same one. Okay.
Brady?
I'm not telling you yet. We're gonna wait.
I'd like to tease you.
I was a little surprised at 23. Okay, that's interesting. So all right. I'll have to do this during the break here. I like these type of lists here.
Yeah, because there's always open for conversation.
So far, no horse, and I'm almost halfway through this thing. No,
no American Pharoah or anything like that.
No horse is a horse. Can I give you one hint of one athlete that's in here so far? Giannis is on here somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
Giannis is on here somewhere. So, but that's give you a little bit of a hint there. Think about where he's potentially ranked. Ooh. Oh, okay.
Now that's a tease.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Numbers. The sport that had the most on this list, basketball, 24.
Well, I mean, they're athletes. These guys are athletes because there's a lot of things they can do.
Mm-hmm.
You look at football players; they're football players. They're not the agility and the things like that of a basketball player. For the most part, some of the wide receivers are defensive backs, things like that. But you look at linemen and tight ends and people like that, linebackers, they're not going to be there. Should be an interesting list.
No horse. I went through it all.
No horse.
No horse.
Oh, well, that'll
no car or anything like that. whatever you want to go up there. So interesting, especially the last 10. All right. Gonna hit that one up, definitely. So okay, what else did I have?
The thing is, what is the definition of athlete?
Exactly. That's a good point.
How you might have been dominant in your sport, but and I don't know where Brady is, but I wouldn't consider Brady to be top.
That's the
athlete.
thing is, like, athlete, do you go with the physical skills
or the success in their particular game?
Yep.
So
that's why I
say to a lot of speculation and conversation.
Number 1, I have no problem with when we put all that together. It's not Brady, so I'll tell you that it's not Brady.
No, I didn't think it would be.
So, but I've got no problem with number 1 being there. I don't know if people will say his name right away. If you haven't looked at it yet, send me some guesses. See if we got to anybody.
My guess would be LeBron.
So. Well, I'm not telling you anything right now.
Oh, I know you're not, but you just said send us your guesses. I'm giving you my guess.
Okay.
LeBron.
Text me your guess. Don't cheat. Don't look at it right now. Let's see if anybody can guess it correctly.
I'm not going to look.
Oh, I want to see disappointment or the shock on some of the names I tell you over here.
Oh, I think it would be, I don't know, shock is the right word, but surprise. You know,
Mhm.
I'm sure there are going to be some surprises on there.
How long ago was it when ESPN did it for the top? Was it top 100 athletes of
That's
all
when, yeah,
time?
that's when Secretariat got
Yeah,
on
yeah.
there.
You know, because I think Jordan was one, I believe,
I can't
or was
say.
it
I don't
Muhammad?
remember. I can't remember.
Let me see if I can find it just to refresh our. Because was it of the 21st century?
I don't remember the time period that it covered, but it did attract a lot of attention, and you know that's hard to deny. It's the ones that are in the top.
Hmm.
It's just where you place them.
Right.
You know, who's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Could 5 have been number one, or whatever the case may be? But you know, it'll be interesting to see. If you said most of them are basketball players, my guess would be LeBron.
Oh,
But
so this was the 20th century, greatest athletes of the 20th century. So Jordan was 1,
Yep.
Babe Ruth was 2, Muhammad Ali 3, Jim Brown 4, Wayne Gretzky 5, Jesse Owens 6, Jim Thorpe 7, Willie Mays 8, Jack Nicklaus 9.
with Jim Thorpe, you know, most known, I mean, Jim Thorpe's a better athlete than Babe Ruth.
Right,
Let's
exactly.
face it.
Yep. I mean, when you have a dude that can compete the Olympics in multiple sports and play pro football and baseball and all that, yeah.
Decathlon and all that sort of stuff. I mean, you know,
It's exactly right. Like I view Jim Thorpe as a better athlete than Babe Ruth. Now, if they termed it best sports figure, then it's a little different,
absolutely, no
right?
question.
So that's
why these things are always fun to look at and you know, and talk about. What's the reasoning? What's their logic? What's their criteria?
Yep. So hit me up with some guesses, all right? 715-830-1912.
And Dan Kasper and I aren't eligible. So
Well, you don't know that. I am.
well, we're not talking about the Medford Top 100.
Well, I'm saying, year wise, it's since 2000. So you're I don't know if you're still in your prime then. That's 24 years ago.
Let me just say a resounding no. Not as far as playing ball or anything, but it's always fun to look at those things, and you think about the spectacular athletes that we've been able to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, all right. We only got about a minute left until the shot clock comes off. So, also text me any questions you have for Jake, our conservation warden buddy, at 715-830-1912, 715-830-1912.
And you know, what are they considering for athletes like, you know, like, now I'm just using this as an example. I would never include him, but you take a look at a guy like and I don't remember his heyday, but Lance Armstrong, remember,
Yep.
won the Tour de France how many times?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but obviously he was on drugs. Will Barry Bonds be included? You know, but
Yeah.
seriously, those people are athletes. The swimmers in the Olympics, Michael Phelps, where is he in there? Is he an athlete or just a swimmer? Which to me is very athletic to be able to do that. It's Katie Ledecky, who's now setting all kinds of records. You know, there's so many sports that I think get shortchanged when an athlete gets shortchanged when they start doing these.
Yep.
Because they only come around like every 4 years in the Olympics.
Yep. All right. This should be interesting when I go through some of these names here. So, all right, quick break, and then we'll be back. Get your guesses in. All right, let's have a little fun with this. Who do you think ESPN named the top athlete since 2000? Text us your picks. Final hour kicking off on this Thursday morning. Coming up in about 25 minutes, we'll catch up with DNR Warden, Mr. Jake Bulks. Final call, all right? Final call for any questions you may have for Jake. Let us know by texting us on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Any questions for Mr. Bulks? You have to text him in right now. Final call to get those on in. So we'll catch up with him in about 25 minutes. All right. We're going to take a look at this list that ESPN put out there. The greatest athletes of the greatest, I should say, the ranking, the top 100 professional athletes since 2000.
They don't say anything what their criteria was, do they?
That's what I'm looking at right now. So, ranking the top 100 most accomplished athletes since 2000 wasn't quite so easy after all, but it sure was fun 25 years ago. ESPN Sports Century Project ranked the top 100 North American athletes of the 20th century. They also put in a note in here too. We also ranked a horse. Secretariat came in at number 35. Voters were instructed to consider only an athlete's performance since 2000. So for Barry Bonds, he won 7 MVP awards, but only 4 of those came after 2000, as did 317 of his 762 home runs. Or Ken Griffey Jr. He played until 2010, but all of his best seasons came in the 90s, etc. They gave a couple other examples over here. In the end, we received more than 70,000 votes from ESPN contributors to create our top 100. So you ready to do this?
I'm ready.
Any guess on who you think number 1 is?
Well, like I said earlier, I thought it would be LeBron.
Michael Phelps, number 1.
Well, I speculated on the swimmers too.
Yep, which I've got no problem with.
I don't either. He's
the athlete in him, and then what he has accomplished. Yeah, number 1. So I've got no bone to pick.
How many ribbons he's got so many Olympic
28-time Olympic medalist, 23-time gold medalist.
Unbelievable.
Yes, most gold medals at a single Olympics when he won 8 in Beijing in 2008.
Wow.
And unbelievable.
Mark Spitz won 7.
Yep.
But that I have no problem with that either, because again, my son was a swimmer, not accomplished at all, but he swam in high school. And you watch some of the workouts that they go through and the things that they do, they work hard. And, to get to the success of Michael Phelps, how hard he must, he never went any place. I know I had a niece that was a trainer for a university, and Michael Phelps showed up to some announcement to make someplace, or he had to be someplace. He was in the pool in the morning, and he was in the pool after his appearance, wherever he was. Working and working and working. So they don't get that by accident.
If anybody wants to know, there's a fantastic book. I have it. It was written by Sally Jenkins. I think it just came out last year. It's called The Right Call: What Sports Teaches Us About Work and Life. And there's great examples. They talk with Michael Phelps and Michael Phelps' coach. And you talked about his practice routine and all that. You read that and you read what he went through, and it pained me reading some of that. It's unbelievable over there. So fantastic read if you want to get a little bit of a glimpse of what he and like Coach K, and they've got other guys.
They work and they work. Swimmers work and work and work, and then before those big meets, what's the term they use? Taper. They taper, and it's all. And it was before they had a lot of computers and metrics and all this. It was just something that the coaches had developed and learned, and how these swimmers would taper, so they're in absolute top form, top shape for these big meets. It's swimming is more than just jumping in the pool.
Yep. Number 2, Serena Williams, 23-time major champion, second most by any player all time. Women's record, 365 major match wins, 73 career titles, fifth most by a woman in the open area. Serena Williams coming in at number 2.
Can't argue that either.
Lionel Messi, the soccer player, number 3. LeBron comes in at number 4. Number 5 is Tom Brady. 6, Roger Federer. 7, Simone Biles. 8, Tiger Woods. Number 9, Usain Bolt. And number 10, Kobe Bryant. Rounding out the top 10.
I can't argue this. I'm not a soccer fan, but Messi is, one of the greatest ever. And those soccer players are athletes. There's no, to run around that big field for 90 minutes, pretty much 45 minutes at a time. And granted, they're not running all the time, but that's a lot of ground to cover. Can't argue that.
Yep.
I would have put LeBron above Messi, but other than that, I don't think Tom Brady and his accomplishments, and they did say accomplishments were part of this. Can't argue based on that, but as far as just athlete, no, I wouldn't have him in the top 10.
I'll just go through some notable names here. Steph Curry's at 14. You mentioned Katie Ledecky. She's at 15. Tim Duncan, 16. Shaq's at 17. Patrick Mahomes is at 18. Aaron Donald at 20. Diana Taurasi's at 21. Sidney Crosby, 22. This is the one that kind of was like, ooh. Kevin Garnett came in at 23. That one was like, oh, that's kind of high, I thought, for KG. I mean, great
for
player.
That kind of for that kind of recognition, I'm surprised too. I can't argue his ability, his athleticism. I can't argue that a bit. He came out of high school and showed he could play in the NBA. So I can't argue it, but I guess I would be a little surprised too.
Yeah. Albert Pujols, 24. Peyton Manning came in at 26. Randy Moss, 27. The Joker.
I'd have Randy Moss a little ahead of that.
Yeah.
Because Randy Moss.
He was a freak. They called him a freak for a reason.
Well, the athletic ability, and they said he could have played in the NBA.
Yep. Joker came in at 28. And he's not done yet either, too.
Is he a better athlete than Giannis?
That's a good question. Trout's coming in at number 30. Clayton Kershaw, 31. Dwayne Wade, 35. Maya Moore, 36. Ichiro, 37. And Barry Bonds at 38. Came in at 38. So you posed the question about, with his steroids and such. But
so evidently they didn't take that into consideration much. And I don't argue Barry Bonds' ability. Like they said, he's Hall of Famer without the drugs. It's just that his ego got the most of him when Socha and McGuire were getting all the attention for hitting home runs. He said, "What? I can hit home runs too." And then he did what he did.
Yep.
And I don't think anybody can really argue that he didn't do that. But your head doesn't grow that big without something happening.
Yeah. Kevin Durant, 39. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, Giannis is at 42. 42. A
little low.
I would agree. I don't know if it's homerism, right? But I would have put it with the NBA guys that were ahead of him. Giannis should be higher compared to those.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, he's a better athlete than Joker.
Alex Rodriguez at 43. Let's just go with David Ortiz at 45. Now that one I kind of have a little bit of a problem with.
He's a heck of a hitter, but I wouldn't consider him a out of this world athlete.
Right. I mean, he's a DH.
Yeah.
He's in the Hall of Fame as a DH.
Yep.
So I do have a little bit of a problem with that one, I will say. Just kind of scrolling through here. We've got Steve Nash at 51. I know he's a really good soccer.
He's more of an athlete than David Ortiz.
Derek Jeter at 53. Alex Ovechkin, 54. Calvin Johnson, 57. J.J. Watt, 58. Mariano Rivera, 59. Ray Lewis, 61. Now, I'm a little surprised they actually had him this low. Ohtani coming in at 62. I thought with recency effect, would he be up higher?
He hasn't been around long enough.
Right.
I think that's...
And I would agree with that.
Not a big enough body of work.
And I would agree with that. I'm just surprised that they didn't have him up higher because
he can hit and pitch. Who's ever been able to do that?
Babe Ruth.
There you go.
That's the last one.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was last time they did this number 2.
Yep.
So,
but by that time, Babe Ruth's career was over.
Right.
His body of work we knew. We don't know Ohtani's complete body of work. they do this again in 2050, he'll be a lot higher.
Yep. I don't like this one at number 67. James Harden. I mean, when you have a guy that will put on weight just to avoid, I mean, to me, I don't think James Harden belongs on this thing. I've got a problem with James Harden.
Well,
so.
to talk about accomplishments, what's he accomplished?
He's a 10. He won an MVP,
but he hasn't won anything.
Yeah, so I don't put him on this thing. I just no. When I think of athlete, I'm sorry, I don't think of James Harden.
No, I don't either.
I can't do it. Right behind him is Phil Mickelson and Jason Kidd's at 69. I mean, I think of Kidd as more of an athlete than James Harden, I think.
Or Mickelson.
Yeah. Mookie Betts at 73.
That's a little low.
For as many different positions the guy plays, I think that
and
would
as good
move
as
him
he
up.
is in all of them.
Yes, exactly. Move him up higher, I think.
Well, when he left the Red Sox haven't been the same since.
Mm-hmm. Right. Bryce Harper at 79. Cheryl Swoops at 81. Chris Paul at 83. Kawhi Leonard at 85. Venus Williams is at 86. Roy Halladay's at 88. Former pitcher.
Yep.
Annika Sorenstam at 89. Now, I think this guy should be higher based off of the other players that were named before him. Aaron Rodgers at 91.
Yeah, I do too.
I think he should be higher for as much as I'm glad he's not with Green Bay. Just, with all the drama. Compared to the other people that were ranked, I think Aaron needs to be higher.
I do too, because he's not just a quarterback, he's an athlete. I mean, when he can move, the way he can throw the ball, go in both directions, different arm angles, he's an athlete.
Mm-hmm. So
and a good one.
Yep. Rory's at 93.
I was just going to ask where Rory McIlroy is on this thing.
And then Darrell Revis is at 96. Connor McDavid, 98. At number 100, Charles Woodson. I think of athlete when I think of Charles Woodson.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, what? Heisman Trophy, Super Bowl champ, Defensive Player of the Year. And I know that was before 2000.
But when he was in college, he played both ways.
Yeah. Yep.
So he could play both ways. He could be a good receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't argue with the list, just maybe the placings here and there.
Right.
I don't think Tom Brady should be as high as he is. Accomplishments, no question. Nobody accomplished more in football than he did. But as far as athletic ability,
mm-hmm.
There's just too many under him that I think were better.
Yeah, so when I saw that I'm like, I think maybe Aaron should be a little higher. Then that was the one that kind of, and then James Harden. I mean, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers over James Harden any day of the week. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm taking Cheryl Swoops over James Harden. There's Bernard Hopkins is 78. I'm taking him over James Harden. Those guys. So, but Lisa Leslie's at 74. I'd take her in a heartbeat over James Harden. I'd take Mookie Betts over James Harden. So,
what do you feel from looking at that list, and you had the whole thing in front? Was there any sport that seemed to be shortchanged?
There was just 3 hockey players on here.
How many track and field?
We've got 3 as well. Yeah. There were 3 track and field. That one too, I would put in there. Yeah.
Because you got all these decathlon athletes, and some of these others. I mentioned cycling, Lance Armstrong, and maybe in the last 25 years there hasn't been a I don't remember what years he was, and he wouldn't be. But if they had Barry Bonds in there, but Sosa, McGuire, neither one of those guys were in there.
And that was theirs was before 2000.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Lance was 99 to 2005.
Yeah.
So
I thought he might get some consideration, because you got to be an athlete to be able to do what he did, to win that Tour de France. I don't care what you're on.
Yeah.
That's a tough thing to do.
Yep.
But I think track and field and some of the other sports were a little shortchanged.
Trying to see so far the highest ranked track and field was Allison Felix at 63. I'm just going up to see if there was one that was ranked a little bit higher.
I mean, remember, and I don't know her years either. Remember Flojo,
Yes.
who used to run with a long fingernail
Yep.
painted different colors and unfortunately passed away as a young lady.
Mm-hmm.
But she was quite an athlete.
Well, like the 90s, I feel like track and field were just loaded with men's and women's. Michael Johnson,
Yep.
you know,
What about
Carl Owens?
What about Lindsey Vonn downhill skiing?
Ooh, now that's a good one.
And there's another young lady from the United States that has won more downhill or whatever ski races than anybody in history. Where are they on there? So I think there were some sports that were shortchanged.
That's a good one, considering they do have Shaun White on here, who's a snowboarder.
Yeah, but no.
Lindsey Vonn, I didn't even think about. That's a good one.
Yeah, and this other young lady that I can't say her name right now, that's been the most prolific winner in the history of women's skiing. She's from the United States, and it doesn't matter where she's from, but you got to be an athlete to do that. I don't care what you say. Anybody that's downhill skied knows that that coordination, skill,
look at the dang long jumpers in our area, for crying out loud. I ain't doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so I think there's a couple that I think were left out, were mistakes not to be included.
I like that. I like the Lindsey Vonn. I like that one. That's a very good one too. I think that's, yep. I'd 100% be on board with that one. So, did they miss any? If you had a chance to look at it, let us know. If we had a couple people did correctly predict Michael Phelps on that list. So, but if you think they missed anybody, who did they miss? Let us know. Hit us up with a quick text, 715-830-1912. Or do you think, pound on the table, somebody should be higher or somebody should be lower over there? So, yeah, Simone Biles at number 7, I've got no problem with either. I mean, what she does, gymnast, come on.
And I mean, even in tennis, Federer is on there, but what about Rafael Nadal and Djokovic? I mean,
they are. I just didn't say their
I
name.
see.
Yep.
Okay.
Novak is actually number 11.
Okay.
And then Nadal's 12.
Okay.
So, yep, they're top 15 in there. So, there is Lewis Hamilton auto racing came in at number 19. So he's a 7-time Formula One champion. Michael, we had a couple race.
And you got to be an athlete. I've never done that, but you've got to be an athlete to handle those cars in that kind of traffic at those kind of speeds, not only mentally, but physically. That's a demanding sport.
If he stayed healthy these last couple years, do you think Mike Trout's higher than 30?
Oh, absolutely.
I agree too.
And if Mike Trout played in Middle America, I think he would be.
I do too.
Why Kershaw is as high as he is, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is he a better athlete than Mike Trout?
Well, they got Kershaw at 31 and Trout at 30, so it's pretty close.
But I don't even think they should be that close.
Yeah.
I mean, Kershaw, I would, 60 or 65. I don't know what makes him such a.
Yeah, Verlander's at 40 on here, which is above Giannis. So. And then the David Ortiz one at 45 too.
A lot of it's subjective, but still in all, I don't think Trout and Kershaw are that close together.
Yeah.
Kershaw's too high. I think Trout's right where he should be. People say greatest player ever, but you got to play.
Yeah.
He doesn't play. He's hurt all the time.
Got to win some championships too,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Or at least you got to be in the mix. He's only been, I don't know if he's ever won a playoff game. I think he's only been in one playoff, maybe two. You gotta get there.
I feel like
get to the table.
I feel like this guy that I'm about to say, who came in at number 52, it might be a little underrated in terms of from a fan standpoint. Like, we kind of forget about how solid he was. 52, Adrian Beltre, the third baseman, longtime third baseman. And 5 times since 2000, 5-time Gold Glove winner, 2-time Platinum Glove winner, 4-time All-Star, 455 home runs, Hall of Famer. So, I mean, he was consistent for a long time at the hot corner over there. So, one spot ahead of Derek Jeter.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, going to the Hall of Fame.
Yep. So, all right. Let us know your thoughts. Text us, tweet us, Facebook us, whatever.
How do you rate baseball players? I mean,
That's a tough
I think,
one.
Yeah. I mean, pitchers versus position players versus catchers.
Right. I think catchers get unfairly, not enough attention for what they do.
They don't, because it's a tough position to play.
Mm-hmm. Pedro's on here at 92, by the way. I didn't say his name, but Pedro came in at 92. So, interesting list.
Yeah, it's an interesting list, and I think for the most part, it's fun to talk about.
Yep.
For the most part, they got the names in there, but I do think that there were some sports that were shortchanged a little bit.
Yep, I would agree.
Because you can't tell me again, and he's only rated 31, but you're that close to Jim Thorpe. I'm sorry, but there are a lot of more athletes that are better than Kershaw between Jim Thorpe and Clayton Kershaw.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's take a quick break, and then we'll do some outdoor tidbits with Mr. Jake Boakes coming up in just a few minutes. End up, you will want to make sure to stop by and say hi and check out the Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM Mobile Man Cave. The Mobile Man Cave wouldn't be possible if it weren't for our awesome partners that are with us for every road trip. A big thanks to Toyson Ford, Woods and Water Realty, The Elbow Room, and Carpet City Flooring Center for being with us at every stop. We'll see you on the next road trip.
Don't get bullied into accepting a personal injury settlement that isn't fair. At Buy Golf and Roadie, they know reputation is important, and it can affect your case's outcome. If you want your case to be taken seriously, you need lawyers who are taken seriously. They've had your back for 50 years, and they've got your back now. Buy Golf and Roadie. Serious injuries need serious lawyers. Call 800-607-3030 or online at buygolf.com.
How many times a day do you compare yourself to others, or wish your life looked like someone else's? We all do it sometimes, because it's easy to envy friends' lives on social media when you only see the good parts. But you know what they say? Comparison is the thief of joy. And in reality, nobody has it all together. Online therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, like that career goal you set your sights on, or that relationship you want to grow, or that daily habit you want to get into. Because your best life is always better than the idea of someone else's. BetterHelp makes therapy more accessible and less overwhelming with affordable online sessions that you can do anytime, anywhere. That's why over 4 million people have used it for mental health support. So stop comparing and start living with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/rightchoice today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rightchoice.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard, aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
It's time to roll out the red carpet for, well, new carpet. There's no better time than right now at the Home Depot, where the more you buy, the more you save. Save up to 10% on select special order carpet styles you love from brands you trust. And installation is included on qualifying purchases. Start your carpet project today at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Offer valid July 11th through July 28th, 2024. Receive up to 10% off select special order carpet purchases. Minimum purchase required. Exclusions apply. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
If Culligan isn't treating your home's water, you likely have water problems all around you, like hard-to-clean chalky residue on your shower, faucets, and bath, stains around your sink drains, spots on your dishes and glassware, plus dull, dried-out hair and skin, and problems you don't see, like scaly buildup in the water heater and pipes. But have no fear, you're in the clear with Culligan Products and Service. For all your residential and commercial water filtration needs,
visit CulliganH2O.com for your local Culligan water dealer.
Get ready to save half with half-off deals. It's a great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay a full price. Start saving this Friday, July 19th, with Guac and Roll and One Fest. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save with this week's half-off deals. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com.
Whether you're grilling burgers at the cabin or roasting hot dogs around a campfire, Village Hearth and Artisan Hearth buns and rolls are a summertime essential. With so many varieties to choose from, including classic white and wheat, unsliced old-fashioned, brioche, gourmet French, and flavorful onion, Village Hearth and Artisan Hearth has the buns and rolls your family will love. Village Hearth and Artisan Hearth, baked locally and delivered fresh daily.
Hey, baseball fans in Eau Claire, are you ready to hit a home run with your taste buds? Swing by Sammy's Pizza, Restaurant, and Pub, your ultimate dining destination in the heart of Eau Claire. Whether celebrating a big win or gearing up for the next game, Sammy's is perfect to fuel your appetite with mouth-watering pizzas, sizzling hot wings, and refreshing drinks. Why settle for peanuts and Cracker Jacks when you can feast like an MVP at Sammy's Pizza, Restaurant, and Pub, 2812 London Road, or order online at sammyspizzaeauclaire.com. Sammy's, where great food and great times collide.
Attention weekend warriors. Are you hitting the ball fields or staying active in the outdoors? Well, you can be our next featured weekend warrior. Visit sportstalk1051.com for more details. Answering your questions and giving you the tips you need to be successful and safe in the outdoors. It's time for your outdoor tidbits. Have a question you'd like answered by Jake? Send it to us, and we'll ask for you.
It is time for our outdoor tidbits with Mr. Jake Boakes, Conservation Warden for the great state of Wisconsin. Jake, how you doing this morning, bud?
I'm doing good.
That a boy.
Another nice sunny morning. It seems like Thursday mornings seem to be pretty good mornings.
See, got a little fall feel out there early this morning, at least it was, with a little cold temps out there. My truck said, I think 53 or 52 degrees. I was like, oh, yeah.
It did feel like it, especially last night. I got up to let my dog out. I'm like, oh, my gosh. And then I was looking at the calendar this morning, and I'm like, I'm not ready to talk about sun yet. But, I mean, we're only a month and a couple weeks away from, fall waterfall season. So it's coming, which is crazy.
It is. And I know we got even some deadlines coming up here in a couple weeks with some tags and some permits and such. What I was looking a little bit earlier for, like even, was it was it like trapping or fur, stuff like that?
Yep. The fur bearing stuff. Late summer is when you got to get your permit applications in for your bobcat and fisher. So by August 1st, you got to go in there, whether you pick a preference point or you try to get a permit or whatever. Again, August 1st for your bobcat and fisher. You don't have to do otter anymore because now automatically when you buy a trapper's license, you get 2 otter tags given to you automatically. You don't have to, if you haven't trapped in a few years, that might sound different. A few years ago, they went to just opening it up to everyone. You buy a trapper's license, you get 2 otter tags, and they're good for anywhere in the state. So you don't have to put any permits or drawings in for that.
Okay. And then I know it's about a little less than a month away, but maybe just something to put in the minds of everybody for antlerless deer tags coming up, because those will start to go on sale August 12th through the rest of that week there too. And obviously, depending on your county and such, the availability is gonna kind of be different all over.
Yeah, no, that's really important. So I'm glad you brought it up. So the antlerless, that week of bonus antlerless take, that's obviously important because if you need them or want them, that's the best time to get them. So we got the permit drawings at the beginning or the deadlines, and then the bonus antlerless tags. But 2 other things with that is if you bought your patron's license at the beginning of the year, about that same time, you're really going to want to make sure, even if you don't want to get any bonus antlerless harvest authorizations or tags, you need to go back in and make sure you select your doe tags. Say you're going to hunt Eau Claire County, you automatically get tags, free farmland tags with it. So you need to go in there and pick them before you go out hunting during the deer season, shoot a doe, and then realize you never selected them. Because technically, even though you're allotted them, if you don't select them, when you get checked by a game warden, they're not going to show up as having the appropriate licenses or permits.
Good
So I'm
note.
sure to go back and take care of that before you go hunting.
Right. Absolutely. So even though it's got a little bit of time, a couple weeks here, a month, that might want to start putting those little reminders on your cell phone.
It just seems like more and more, and no fault to anyone, but it seems like more and more people seem to be forgetting to go back and select those antlerless tags, or some people buy a fishing license and a gun deer license in the spring, and then when they go archery hunting, they think they can't remember if they bought it, and some people forget to check. So it's really important this time of year to, just like before the boating season starts, the ATV season, spring turkey, before that starts in the spring, fall's coming, you want to start getting your fall hunting stuff ready. Make sure you have all of the licenses that you're going to need this year. And when you go in there to do your bobcat or whatever, or get your deer stuff, you can also at the same time select your 2025 turkey stuff. So it might behoove you just to go in there and select your bear permit, your bear drawings, or your bear permits for next year at the same time. If you get it done early, then you don't have to worry about forgetting to do it when the deadline comes.
Mm-hmm. Jake, just kind of I guess more of an opinion question. With a lot of the rain that we've gotten so far this year, have you heard anything from like fishermen? Has it affect the fishing season? Is it still kind of guys, gals having any luck out there? Because I've had a few people tell me too that fishing, they're maybe struggling a little bit, and they're kind of wondering if it's the water levels being really high right now.
Yeah, and I got a train going by me, so I might get loud for a second.
Okay.
But I apologize. The longest born ever. So it definitely is, depending where you're on at the state. So there's people catching fish. I saw some people out on Lake Winnebago last night slapping the walleye around. That's not obviously around here, but I got some pictures of some friends out catching walleye out there. And I know people have been catching perch and different panfish around here for sure. I know there are a lot of walleye in Lake Altoona and Lake Wissota. It sounds like a lot of them are just in that undersized area, like if you want to keep them home, but you can go out and catch a ton of fish. Now, if you ask the Mississippi rivermen, that might be the Mississippi River fishermen, that might be a different story, because that water's been so flooded over the 4th, they closed the boat launches. They basically closed the river down to all traffic. So I know the fishing down there, if you can get out there with that high water and how murky it is, it's probably a whole nother story.
Mm-hmm.
I did get out on the Chippewa last week, and I was checking fishermen, and they weren't doing as well. However, when I pulled up to them, they both caught, the two guys I was checking both had a smallmouth bass. They were reeling in. So whether it was the warden's luck showing up to them or they were getting into them more than they wanted to share, they said they hadn't caught as many fish as they were hoping, but they were still catching fish, and it was still a beautiful day to be out.
Yeah, no doubt. So, hey, back to hunting here, quick, Jake. I know it may be a couple months yet here too, but like, when can bear hunters, can they always start to train dogs? Is there a certain time where they can, get those practice times in, or what's the dates for something like that?
Yeah, so they can run or like train dogs right now. April 15th is when you can like start baiting and stuff. Basically, when when the turkey season starts, you can start baiting bear. The hound training season starts a little bit later after that. But basically, if you just think about, Memorial Day up into the season, it's free game for training and baiting and everything like that for bear hunters and hounders and such. So they've definitely been out and about getting ready. I've seen plenty of guys out with their dogs or getting their trail cameras or checking their cameras and different stuff. And, just like with the, seems like with the turkeys and everything, and this spring, it seems like there's a lot of bear running around. Maybe it had to do with another, the mild winter, who knows. But between talking to hunters about how many bear around and getting calls from Eau Claire Dispatch about bears running through the city or in the suburbs, it seems like there's a lot of bear out and about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. Have you getting a lot about in Eau Claire, a lot of calls about bears around here?
We got a few more than usual. I mean, every year I seem to get a call or two. I think this year they had one on the news and stuff. I think we talked about it. I was running along Water Street and such, but there's always a few that kind of like to hang out in that Altoona area, Seymour, kind of the north side, and go running through people's yards and steal some bird feeders here and there. So plenty. It seems like there's plenty of animals around this year.
Yeah.
And maybe the fish are a little bit harder too, depending on the water and where you're at. But man, with that mild winter and a mild spring and a lot of water this year, there's a lot of vegetation, there's a lot of food, there's a lot of growth opportunity for all these animals.
Mm-hmm. Bob, are you having any bear problems since you feed and bait?
I quit doing that.
Just want to
I'll
keep
probably
safe.
walk back there. There's a pile of donuts.
No. On the advice of my local resident DNR agency, quit doing that.
Oh, good stuff. So, are you still? Is it still busy? It's kind of focusing on fishing season right now, or when do you guys start to transition and maybe get ready for that hunting season?
I would, we're kind of getting into like the gray zone in between summer and fall. We're definitely still hard ATV boat fishing right now, but in the next couple of weeks, especially on the like Mississippi River team or some of the driftless region wardens, they're going to start working ginsengers because ginseng season doesn't start till September. But unfortunately, just like in any sport, some people decide to go out early and break the law because August is a good time for the plant to grow. So they're going to start transitioning into fall activities like ginseng and stuff like that a little bit sooner. But usually it's about mid-August, and then just like most people with school, Labor Day weekend is kind of that final like hoorah, what a great summer, let's get our deer cameras out and start talking about deer hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our hard switch, but everything slowly starts transitioning in August.
Did you have anything, Bob?
Yeah. Hey, Jake, I see an announcement I got. New regional directors. We have a new one here in the West Central region. A young lady named Jill Shane, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Yeah, Jill Shone. Yeah.
Jill Shone. Okay, thank you. What is her exact West Central Regional Secretary's director? What's her job? And you want to give her a phone number? So somebody's got complaints, they call her, not you.
Yeah, that would be that'd be nice to get a couple phone calls off my desk every day. But so the regional directors are basically are a, I don't want to say conduit, but like kind of like a person that helps the secretary's director and the secretary's office kind of stay in touch with the field. And know what's going on and kind of relay the information from like the DNR leadership up at the very, very top down to find out what's going out in the field and stuff like that. So she's a really good resource and person to talk with that just kind of knows what's going on in the DNR and specifically the West Central region. So what's going on in this region, what's going on in the field, and how she can help represent the hard work all the field staff are doing in all the different divisions, not just law enforcement or fisheries or wildlife, but all of the divisions, and then bring that up to the secretary's office to show them our good work, as well as, if they have information and stuff, share it back down with us and how it's going up there. So,
hey, quick question. I watch on TV, they got, Texas, you see some of the game wardens out. They got their own TV show and places like that. How come? What would it take to do that around here? And
more violators, probably.
Well, yeah. So we got to encourage more violators.
No.
But they get
right.
Have they ever talked about doing anything with you guys in Wisconsin?
So back when those shows were hot and heavy, probably about 10 years ago, they did. From my understanding, I was a new warden at the time, so I was hearing stuff through the rumor mill and this and that, but. From my understanding, they did reach out to Wisconsin, whatever show, whatever agency, reach out to Wisconsin to try to, duplicate Northwood's law. And then I think after that, they ended up in Texas and some southern states. But before those shows, I think they were trying to get into Wisconsin. And the whole again, this is what I heard. So that, speculation, hearsay, whatever, so I'm not 100% sure, but what was told to me is that, and it makes sense, is that our trespassing laws are so, I guess, strict in Wisconsin that it would basically have made it, not impossible to shoot the show, but it would have made it a lot less interesting and hard, because in some states, if you're, a state employee like myself, state police, whatever, you can, as long as someone's with you, you can like take them with you on private property and stuff like that. Or like in Minnesota, you can just walk on private property unless it's posted. So you don't need to get permission or stuff like that. Versus in Wisconsin, every single person, whether it's posted or not, has to have consent from the landowner to go on a property unless it's posted open or something like that. Law enforcement has a little different role because of state laws that allow it, for safety and resources and different investigation reasons. But because of all those reasons, I think they're like, we'd love to do it here, but we just can't do it. It just won't work.
Mm-hmm. Good question. I like that. Good insight. So
I like to watch.
I know.
Texas.
Everyone was kind of excited for a bit because we all thought maybe we'd be on TV and we'd be doing this and that, and but it sounds like just the trespassing laws and some other logistics just made it pretty difficult.
Instead, you got to settle with us. So
instead,
well, I mean,
I get
Louisiana fighting alligators, and Texas, and shooting. Texas gun laws are different too. I mean, they travel with open-sighted guns and hanging on the rack and everything else. But I just wondered why Wisconsin never did, because they're fun. They're interesting shows to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, no, it's a whole different world. And that's why, we've talked about it many times. Like people ask, well, should I, what do I do in this state, or can I bring this, or can I do that? And, I can give my best advice and experience, but at the end of the day, every state, even going over to Minnesota, which is right next to us, there's laws are so different and stuff that you really got to check in with where you're going. But yeah, it would have been really cool. I mean, Wisconsin got a lot of really cool resources to show off. We got some of the highest numbers for non-residents hunting here, and you can hunt just about anything. It's a lot. There's some states that there's more opportunity, and there's a lot of states that have a lot less than what we have. So it would have been cool to show it off.
Absolutely. Well said. Hey, Jake, we appreciate the time as always, buddy. Be safe out there, and let's catch up again next week, okay?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, there we go. Jake,
thanks for having me, guys.
You got her. Jake Boakes, Conservation Warden for the state of Wisconsin. We'll wrap up things here this morning. We got our final break coming up. We got a couple more picks from people who said, the ESPN missed these athletes for their top 100. So
we'll be interested in hearing.
We'll get to that coming up next. This was a solid one here, I thought. Not a Vikings fan. Smuck says this. Not a Vikings fan, but didn't see Adrian Peterson on the list. Not a bad pick there. I don't think we had any running backs on there.
I
now that
was just
think
going
of
to
that.
say, who else was on there?
Yeah, I don't think we had any
When did
running
Barry
backs.
Sanders retire?
Oh, that was
he in the 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But I could get on board with an Adrian Peterson pick. No doubt about it.
In the top 100, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was a heck of an athlete.
Danny Boy says, where are the cross-country skiers on this list? Jesse Diggins robbed. So, there you go.
I guess I couldn't come up with too many cross-country skiers that I'd want to add to that list. But again, you watch those guys. Now, you talk about athletes. That one Olympic event where they ski cross-country and then they stop every so often and shoot their rifles. And, those guys are athletes.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So, keep those coming. Keep those coming. I'd like to, because these are a good lists. Like the Adrian Peterson one, I was like, yeah, that's not a bad one over there too. I was trying to think the football players because there was Aaron Donald, there was Darrell Revis, there was Charles Woodson, and then it was pretty much quarterbacks. Randy Moss was on there and Calvin, but yeah, I don't think there was another running back on there now that I think of it. So interesting. All right, let's do some picks and predicts. Brought to you by the Elbow Room, located right next to the Banbury Place. Go grab yourself a cold beverage and watch some of the action. Sit around and talk smart like intern and I do about sports and such over at the Elbow Room. The only pick that I'm asking you to make is, who do you have for the Open? Who are you picking to win?
I haven't thought much about it, but I got to think Rory.
That's who I picked. So
I got to think after the embarrassing finish at the U.S. Open, I think that's about the only way you can say it. You don't expect a guy. I mean, that was just a choke. And I mean, you don't expect a guy like that that's been in the hunt so many times to do what he did.
Yep.
He makes those 2 putts, he wins the Open. I mean, it's at the U.S. Open.
Yep.
And they weren't hard putts or long putts. It was just why he missed them, I don't know. But he knows, and I'm sure he's done some work and some thinking about it. So I'm picking Roy, but maybe a bigger pick is what we talked about. I'm picking Tiger to make the cut.
Tiger, by the way, parred the first hole.
He's on his way.
23rd Open championship for him.
Yeah.
For some reason, that seems small.
Getting long in the tooth, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But it is one of the more fun tournaments to watch the finish because the crowd follows them up the 18th fairway, and it'll be fun to watch this tournament.
Yeah, it definitely looks wet and cold. Like Tiger's
and windy.
Yeah, like the computer or the TV camera's got rain dots all over, but he's got like this. It's not a turtleneck, but he's got like this neck gaiter on and everything, and it looks not great.
And that maybe that's one of the biggest challenges for him to make the cut is the weather. Is this cold weather going to affect his leg and affect his back being able to get loose so that he can play? That might be the only thing. But I just think he knows how to get around these English courses, these links courses. I know they're in Scotland, but I just think he can think his way around a golf course. And I don't think that's changed a whole lot. His physical abilities have changed a whole lot, but I think this is a lot of mental ability to win an Open.
Yeah, last I checked, JT was in sole possession of first place. So
the guy did tie with him and backed off a little bit.
Yep. So
300 is a good score on a windy, cold day in Scotland.
Well, that's like a lot of people are saying, if Tiger can, manage just par today and put himself in that. Obviously, scores are pretty low right now. So, or you know what I mean by.
They're not going to be a lot of people under par today.
Yep. So, put yourself in that position to maybe make a run. So we'll see. But yeah, he's officially underway. Surveyor Sam, a couple athletes that were. Is this your rugby players? Antoine Dupont of France and Brian O'Driscoll of Ireland, both considered to be the greatest rugby players of all time. Both won International Player of the Year 3 times. Only people to ever do it.
And that's one of the challenges of getting those kind of people on that list. It's not an American sport.
Yeah.
You know, they play rugby around here, but club level at colleges and things like that. And so, you know, that's the downside for rugby players, which is unfortunate because I agree there's some dandy athletes, I'll tell you, for what they do, and they really, really play hard. That's a tough game.
I don't want to do it.
No,
Surveyor
I don't
Sam
either.
does it. He's a better man than me right now.
Yeah,
So.
I know there's a lot of people on here, but unfortunately, you're going to get caught in it because the average American has no idea how rugby's played.
Yeah, I mean, if it was the contributors from ESPN, so all the writers, I mean, I don't know if they got writers for that. So it's a little biased, right?
Sure.
the rankings. I mean, they're biased
to American sports, absolutely.
Yep. So, all right. So we only got a couple minutes left. Did you have a chance to check out the All-Star game and such? Do you still?
I did watch it.
Watch it a little bit,
but that would have been one of my receiver defers. I mean, I always thought the All-Star game, but it's getting more and more so that it's getting to be a boring watch. You know, and I love the Major League Baseball All-Star game because it is competitive, unlike the NBA or the
I still think it's
NFL.
the best All-Star game out there.
I do too.
Yep.
You know, and hockey, you know, that's just kind of a goal-scoring event. But I'm getting more and more disappointed all the time because I'm getting to the point where, let's face it, these guys aren't playing hard like Pete Rose, you know.
Yeah.
They're just not playing hard, you know, and they're competing, but they're not competing. And I think that's a detriment to baseball, and baseball better watch out because that's been the only game that's been competitive. But if it gets to be too much of just a sideshow, like they have this celebrity softball game ahead of time, and if they start treating it more like, because to me, I don't want to be entertained. I want to see competition. You know, granted, they're not going to play as hard as if they were playing for their own team, working for the playoffs. But I just don't think enough players take it serious enough to want to win. And that's starting to bother me.
I mean, I think the pitchers still go up there. I mean, they're not right now lollygagging, making it a home run derby up there, that sort of stuff. But I know what you mean by like the Pete Rose example is a good one. You know, that sort of stuff there too. So, got to do a really quick tip of the cap. Speaking of baseball and pitchers and that, last night for the Express, Jace Kirby was on the mound, 7 2/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 earned runs.
Good for him staying on the mound that long in this day.
Yep. Tip of the cap, Jace. Nice job. So, all right. That's going to do it for us. Have a good Thursday. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning.